Wout van Aert is back. 6 months after his last win in Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne, and many months have passed since his nasty crash in the Dwars Vlaanderen that really wiped out his season. There he broke his collarbone, his sternum, his ribs, and he fought the hard fight to get back to where he was today, winning stage 3 of the 2024 Vuelta España here in Castelbranco, the third of 3 stages in Portugal before we cross over into the race's home country for tomorrow's stage. Yes, the White Castle, it's somewhere off on the horizon. I haven't seen it. And no, you can't order the little hamburgers. This is the Portuguese version, and this is where Wout van Aert made his comeback. And he flew those Red Bull wings like we saw a few years ago when he won in Calais, when it was the red hot Wout van Aert. Well, he fought so hard to get back to this point. Yesterday, coming close to victory, 2nd place, but enough to get the red jersey after his 3rd place performance in the opening time trial. And then today, victory in the full red skin suit that is race leader of the Vuelta España. Wout van Aert over Kaden Groves, winner of yesterday's stage, stage 2 in the Vuelta España. And today, the big guy, the Belgian, back on top, Team Visma bike. 197 kilometers to get here to Castelbranco and escape. And if you were tuning in early on in the day, you might have thought you were tuning in to yesterday's stage because the same 2 men were up the road. I'm talking about the current farmer rider, Ruiz, and the teammate of him, well, the Lynx of Marbella, Luis Angel Mate, and riding in his last season, 40 years old, from the Escutel Euskadi team. They were joined up by 2 other riders, one from each of their teams, another current farmer rider, another Escutel Euskadi rider, and in that move, 4 riders going free, fighting for the points on that first categorized 2 climb. It was Luis Angel Mate, the oldest rider in the group, who was getting the points. And then, as we were nearing the finish, the categorized 4 climb, shooting out of the group like a Scud missile. Mate picking up the points enough to take the Mountains jersey off of Stefan Kung. And that's a huge deal for Luis Angel Mate, who a few years ago promised to plant a tree for every kilometer he was in the escape. I spoke with him here afterwards. He doesn't have anything like that going on, but as he did a few years ago, riding home after the final stage up in Santiago in the northwest, all the way down to the south in Marbella, this year he's doing the same after he ends his career riding from Madrid to Marbella. Enough of that though, let's focus on the sprint, because in the final 2 kilometers, 1.7, 1.9 kilometers to go, I think it was Lotto Destiny rider Victor Campenaerts. You saw him do that move in the Tour de France to win a stage win. Next year he's riding for Visma bike, by the way. This year he did it, pulled off the victory at the Tour de France and at the Vuelta España. He was trying to do so again today. Solo move, just kind of crested the little hill on the road there. It might have been enough to hold off the sprint teams behind, but no. Intermarché had its plan. Alpecin de Koenig had its plan for Kaden Groves, really wanting to set it up after Alpecin and Visma bike did the 50-50% of the work all day. Alpecin for Kaden, Visma for Wout van Aert, leading into this final. Well, it's Alpecin who really took up the lead out after all the GC teams with Red Bull, Ineos, Team EF Education, all those GC teams who set up at 4K. We had the sprint teams, and after Victor Campenaerts was caught, the sprint team of Alpecin de Koenig really took up the reins after Intermarché tried to do so. It was Alpecin de Koenig up there at the front. We saw Pavel Bittner from Team DSN up there mixing it on Kaden Groves' wheel, but as Wout van Aert marking things closely, he had Eduardo Affini, who was sitting there, putting him in position. But Wout van Aert, after the final lead-out man of Kaden Groves was up there on the front, Kaden Groves started to move a little bit between his lead-out man and the barriers on the left. Wout van Aert, sensing that, shot off to the right-hand side and went relatively long. And he explained afterwards that he really wanted to follow Kaden Groves' wheel to the finish line and then launch a sprint. Well, he improvised in those last meters, shot right, Kaden off on the left, and Kaden perhaps had to take the longer way around because then he needed to get into Wout van Aert's wake to try to catch up and to try to get over Wout van Aert. It never happened. Kaden Groves in the green jersey, which they awarded to Wout van Aert yesterday by mistake. Kaden Groves rode all day in the green jersey today as outright points leader. Well, he didn't get the points today, and it was over to Wout van Aert, who has the red jersey, won't be wearing the green jersey tomorrow because he's back in red, but more importantly, the victory, and it's massive. Speaking to Affini afterwards, speaking to Sepp Kuss, who's going to be the GC leader when the race hits the summit climb tomorrow, already in stage 4, and speaking to the old veteran Robert Gesink. The team is over the moon for Wout van Aert, and Wout van Aert the same as well. He was emotional when we spoke to him there in the mix zone and realized everything he had been through with that crash in Dwars Vlaanderen, where Matteo Jorgensen went on to win the one-day semi-classic with the sternum, the ribs, the collarbone that took him so long to get back. Had to forego the Giro d'Italia, made it to the Tour de France to work for Jonas Vingegaard. There crashed as well. We thought he had abandoned, but he was able to push on and make it to Nice. And here in the Vuelta a España, Tour de Spain, Wout van Aert back on top after 6 months. He's the winner, spreading his wings, stage 3, Vuelta a España.